My wife insisted I evolve past outdated masculinity, so I evolved past her. I became exactly what she asked for. Careful what you wish for, sweetheart. Update 5. That's when she broke. I can't do this anymore, she screamed, jumping up from the couch. I can't stand who you've become. You're weak, you're needy, you're not a man anymore. There it was, the truth she'd been fighting for weeks. But this is what you wanted, I said calmly. A man who's evolved past toxic masculinity. A man who's in touch with his emotions and not dominated by masculine aggression. No, it's not. This isn't what I wanted at all. Then what did you want? She opened her mouth to answer, then closed it, realizing the trap she'd walked into. What she wanted was for me to be strong but defer to her opinions, protective but not dominant, confident but not assertive. She wanted all the benefits of traditional masculinity, with none of the aspects that challenged her worldview. I wanted you to go back to how you were before, she admitted quietly. You want me to go back to being toxic? You weren't toxic, you were a man. A real man, and I miss him. The admission hung between us like a confession. She'd spent months attacking the very qualities she now admitted she missed. She tried to destroy the man she'd fallen in love with, only to discover that the replacement was everything she actually despised. So all that talk about evolution and toxic masculinity. I don't know, she said, tears starting to flow. I got caught up in all these ideas and I thought I wanted something different. But this isn't it. This isn't you, and I hate it. I watched her cry, feeling a mixture of satisfaction and sadness. Satisfaction that my point had been proven so thoroughly. Sadness that it had come to this, that she'd been so willing to tear down everything good about our relationship in service of an ideology that she didn't even really believe. I want my husband back, she whispered. I want the man who takes charge, who protects me, who doesn't need my permission to exist. I want you to be strong again. She thought this was the moment I dropped the act and everything would go back to normal. She thought we'd learned our lesson and could move forward. She had no idea what was coming next. I looked at her tear-streaked face. This woman who'd spent months systematically attacking everything masculine about me, now begging for me to return to being the man she'd called toxic. The irony was almost too perfect. So let me get this straight, I said, my voice calm and measured. You want me to go back to being the toxic, masculine dominant man you've been trying to cure for the past 3 months? Yes, she whispered. Please, I can't take this anymore. I need you to be yourself again. The myself who was supposedly holding you back. The myself who was too controlling, too aggressive, too traditional. She nodded desperately, not even caring about the contradiction anymore. The problem is, I continued, standing up and walking to our bedroom. I've learned something important during this whole experience. I returned with a manila envelope that made her face go pale. I've learned that you don't actually respect the man you married. You spent months trying to break down everything that made me who I am. You attacked my character, my masculinity, my very essence as a human being. But I was wrong. I see that now. You were wrong about what you wanted. But you weren't wrong about your fundamental lack of respect for me. You proved that you're willing to tear down your own husband to feel intellectually superior. I set the envelope on the coffee table between us. A woman who truly loved and respected her husband wouldn't spend months trying to destroy his core identity. She wouldn't celebrate the idea of breaking him down and rebuilding him according to her political ideology. Her eyes were fixed on the envelope, understanding dawning across her features. What you wanted wasn't evolution or growth. You wanted control. You wanted to remake me into something more convenient for your worldview, and you disguised it as concern for my personal development. That's not true, she said weakly, but we both know it was. The saddest part is that you destroyed something beautiful. We had a partnership where I was strong and you were secure, where I provided and you flourished, where I protected and you felt safe. But that wasn't enough for you. I pushed the envelope closer to her. You had to turn it into a political statement. You had to make our love about your ideology instead of just appreciating what we had. She picked up the envelope with shaking hands. These are divorce papers, said simply because here's what I realized during my evolution. I don't want to be married to someone who fundamentally despises who I am. But I don't. I love you. I want things to go back to how they were. No, you love the idea of having a strong man when it's convenient for you. But you can't resist the urge to tear him down when your friends and social media tell you that strength is toxic. I sat back down, completely calm now that the truth was finally out. I gave you exactly what you asked for, and you hated every second of it. That should tell you something about the ideology you've been following. We can work through this, she pleaded. I'll change. I'll never bring up that stuff again. You'll change until the next wave of feminist theory comes along. Until your friends start talking about some new way men need to evolve. Then we'll be right back here with you trying to fix something that was never broken. She was crying harder now, finally understanding that her crusade had real consequences. I know who I am, I continued. I'm a man who takes care of his family, who leads when leadership is needed, who protects what he loves. You called that toxic. You spent months trying to convince me that my strength was weakness, that my leadership was oppression. I stood up and walked toward the door. Find yourself a nice evolved Gins guy who will cry with you about his feelings and ask permission to exist. You'll have everything you thought you wanted. Please don't do this, she whispered. I'm not doing anything. I'm just refusing to be with someone who sees my best qualities as problems to be solved. The automated message alert chimed on her phone one last time. Feeling grateful for this journey of growth and self-discovery, I turned off the app with a smile. The evolved version of me knows his worth, and his worth isn't determined by someone who spends months trying to diminish it. I walked out the door, leaving her with the divorce papers and the realization that she destroyed her own marriage in pursuit of an ideology that she didn't even believe in. Some lessons are expensive. This one cost her everything. Our story has come to an end.